in a faraway kingdom surrounded by mountains and rivers. A wise and powerful king ruled over his people with great wisdom. One sunny morning, while sitting on his golden throne, the king thought of a clever way to test his 3 loyal ministers. He called the ministers to the grand royal court, where sunlight poured through tall windows, lighting up the marble floors. The ministers, dressed in fine robes, hurried into the hall, bowing deeply before the king, eager to hear his words. The king's voice was deep and commanding as he addressed them, his jeweled crown glinting brightly under the golden sun. "Today," said the king, "I give you an important task, one that will show your true character and dedication." The ministers stood silent, exchanging curious glances, wondering what sort of mission the king would ask of them. "You must each take an empty sack," the king continued, his face serious, "and walk to the royal orchard outside the castle. Fill your sack completely with the freshest, finest fruits you can find among the trees," he instructed them clearly. "Remember," he added, raising a finger, "you must do this work with your own hands. No help is allowed. You cannot hire workers, nor can you ask servants to assist you," he said sternly, emphasizing the importance of the task. The ministers nodded respectfully, even though deep down they were puzzled by the strange nature of the order. Why would the king need us to pick fruits? One thought, but he dared not speak these doubts aloud. Without questioning further, each minister picked up a large, empty sack made of thick cloth, ready for the task. They exited the royal court and made their way across the grand gardens toward the orchard, their minds full of questions. The orchard was a magnificent place, with rows of trees heavy with colorful, juicy fruits under the warm afternoon sun. Birds chirped in the branches, and a soft breeze carried the sweet scent of ripened fruit through the air. The first minister, a man known for his loyalty, took a deep breath and approached the trees with careful steps. "I must honor the king's command properly," he whispered to himself, determined to complete the task with great care. He inspected each tree closely, choosing only the ripest, most perfect fruits and placing them gently into his sack. He worked patiently under the hot sun, wiping sweat from his brow, but never slowing down or losing focus. Every fruit he picked was sweet, fresh, and without blemish, a true gift fit for a king's table. Meanwhile, the second minister, feeling less concerned, wandered lazily among the trees, his sack dragging lightly behind him. "Surely the king won't check what's inside," he muttered to himself, shrugging his shoulders and sitting down under a shady tree. He carelessly grabbed whatever fruits were nearby. Some ripe, others rotten, some even lying on the ground, bruised and dirty. He tossed them into the sack without looking, caring only about making it appear full as quickly as possible. The second minister yawned and hummed a lazy tune as he half-heartedly continued picking fruits without any real attention. Not far away, the third minister chuckled and kicked at the fallen leaves covering the orchard's floor. "What a silly waste of time," he laughed loudly, brushing dust from his fine robes and leaning against a tree. "The king will never open these sacks himself," he reasoned smugly, convinced there would be no inspection at all. Instead of picking fruits, he gathered dry leaves, broken twigs, and patches of weeds, stuffing them into his sack. In no time, his sack looked full from the outside, though inside it held nothing that could feed his soul. As the sun began to set, the three ministers gathered their full sacks and returned to the palace. They lined up once again before the king, standing proudly, though some with true pride, others with hidden fear. The next morning, the royal court was buzzing with whispers as news of the king's strange test spread among the servants. The ministers were summoned once again, standing nervously before the king, their sacks resting heavily by their sides. The king's face was stern, his eyes sharp as he looked at each of the three men without smiling. "Now," said the king, his voice booming through the hall, "you will each live by the fruits of your own labor." The ministers' eyes widened in shock, realizing that their work was about to be judged, but in an unexpected way. The king turned to his guards, who stood in gleaming armor along the walls, ready to carry out his command. "Take each minister, along with his sack," the king ordered, "and place them in separate prisons far from the castle. No food, no water shall be given to them," he added coldly. "Only what they themselves have gathered shall sustain them." The guards moved swiftly, binding the ministers' hands gently but firmly and leading them away from the bright court. The ministers walked in silence, hearts heavy with regret and fear, as the palace walls disappeared behind them. In his prison cell, the first minister opened his sack carefully, revealing a bounty of fresh, delicious fruits. He gave thanks and ate slowly each day, preserving his food wisely and keeping his strength throughout the long, lonely weeks. Meanwhile, the second minister struggled greatly, picking through his sack to find a few good fruits among the many rotten ones. Hunger gnawed at him daily, and his face grew thinner as he regretted his careless choices in the orchard. As for the third minister, when he opened his sack and saw only dry leaves and twigs, despair filled his heart. Before even a month had passed, weakened by hunger and sorrow, the third minister quietly passed away in his cold, empty prison.